From WNEP, the news station, this is 2023, a look back.
Good evening, I'm Allie Gallo. As part of the Storm Tracker 16 team, I had a front row seat to all the weather northeastern and central Pennsylvania endured this year. From smoky skies to devastating storms, there were plenty of weather-related stories to tell in 2023. And tonight, we're going to take a look back at some of the biggest moments of the year. 2023 started off in the middle of a mild winter. Traditionally, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend is one of the busiest times of the year for ski resorts. Newswatch 16's Amanda Eustace found despite some not-so-ideal weather conditions, there was still quite a crowd on the slopes in Carbon County.
Sunny blue skies and fresh white powder. That's all skiers and snowboarders here at Blue Mountain Resort near Palmerton can ask for. The long Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend brought many to enjoy the outdoors, like the Pollard family.
We just love to ski. It's something we can do together. You know, it's something that we're outside in the fresh air. We stayed overnight last night and then today, so that we have the day to do it today too.
For others, like this group of girls from Allentown, New Jersey, a day off of school meant getting tons of runs in on the mountain.
This is my first time out all season, and I wanted to get a feel for the mountain a little bit.
More than 25 trails were open for people to enjoy. Ashley Sire is the marketing manager. She says Martin Luther King Jr. weekend is one of the busiest times of the season for them.
It's been a very busy weekend. I think people saw that we're refreshing the conditions, and it's a great time to get out there right now.
Mountain officials say snowmakers worked so hard all last week to make sure that the mountain had plenty of powder for everyone to enjoy this holiday weekend.
We opened for the season on Black Friday. We got a head start, a big base down, but we've seen everything this season, from rain to snow to lightning, literally a little bit of everything. So we've just been battling Mother Nature. Last week things were getting a little thin out there, but just a testament to how great our snowmaking team is. They were able to turn it around this weekend, and we got a great base down there now, and we've heard nothing but great compliments on the conditions.
Amanda Eustace, Newswatch 16, Carbon County.
Making snow is a science, and it's a skill ski resorts had to master this relatively dry winter. At Montage Mountain Ski Resort in Lackawanna County, there are nearly 200 snow guns, and a snow gun is like a giant pressure washer. It compresses water pumped from a nearby reservoir to the mountain. But the weather has to be just right. You can make it at 32 degrees, but because of humidity, it actually should be a few degrees colder than freezing.
Here in Pennsylvania, we know that the humidity is around 60 to 80%, sometimes even up to 100%, which brings that temperature down into the 27 or 28 degree range that we really like to start making snow.
The staff at Montage Mountain hope to continue making snow until the spring, and keep making snow they did. It was a tale of two seasons, skiing at Montage combined with the Rail Riders opening day. Snow lovers enjoyed a final day on the slopes at the end of March. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the mountain, rain postponed the first game of the season by about 45 minutes for the Rail Riders. But when the team finally took to the diamond, they made history with the earliest season opener in franchise history and the first baseball game ever played on Montage Mountain in the month of March. PennDOT crews in Lackawanna County took full advantage of the mild and dry weather. They were able to get a lot done during the winter, and while we waited to see if a snowstorm was in the cards for us.
There is still another week left in February, but the Scranton area will likely see one of the warmest and least snowiest Februaries ever on record. So when PennDOT crews aren't treating roads or plowing snow, they are able to do some projects they typically have to wait for the spring or summer to do, like drainage work, brush cutting, and even litter pickup.
We've also been getting a jump start on our crack sealing work, which typically occurs in the April and May months. We're able to perform that work right now.
Working on those projects now, when the weather is mild and dry, creates some leeway for the road crews this spring and summer, especially if it ends up being a very rainy season. Crews could also potentially add additional projects to their schedules this spring and summer.
Perform additional base repair, perform additional patching, additional bridge work. So it's going to be an exciting summer that we've gotten a jump start on it through the winter.
Even though we haven't had many storms so far this winter, the ones we have had have been a little complicated when it comes to treating the roads.
We'd like to get out with brine ahead of the storm and apply that so that it prevents the initial bond of snow and ice to the roadway. If the storm starts as rain, we're not able to apply that brine because it'll be washed away.
And that's what we've seen a lot so far this winter, and we'll see again this week. Storms that start as rain and then change to a wintry mix of precipitation. Still, PennDOT crews say they have used about half the amount of salt they would have normally used at this point in the winter.
We've had a lot of events that we call material burners, where we need to spread and then spread again during the same event as we clear the roads. So that has caused us to use some material this winter, but overall we are going to probably see some savings on salt this year, which is very good.
Obviously, there is still plenty of winter left to go, but saving on salt this winter means stocking up for next winter, always preparing for the worst.
So we didn't see a lot of snow this year, but that does not mean we were spared from freezing temperatures. Next, we'll show you the great lengths some farmers went to in the hopes of saving their crops from a late freeze. In May, we had a hard freeze late in the season, leaving farmers across northeastern and central Pennsylvania scrambling to save their crops. Newswatch 16's Chelsea Strube shows us how one family did everything they could to fight the freezing temperatures.
Regardless of the noise, there is no rest for the Heller family on a morning like this, with temperatures below freezing.
If we can maintain this temperature, I'll be happy.
This year's apple and peach crop on the farm in Wapwallopin depends on it.
It's dangerous, let's put it to you that way. But we have a great crop of fruit here, and we want to do our best if we could save it.
These wind machines will work to protect 10 of the 100 acres of fruit trees, moving the warmer air down to the new crops.
And they will automatically kick on at 32 degrees and protect that block of fruit.
Among the peach trees down the hill, the Hellers and their workers built more than 100 campfires to create warmth for the newly formed donut peaches.
Once you start trying to save your crop, you don't stop. You keep going and you do everything you can. It is what it is. You need to do everything you possibly can.
Even after the sun comes up, the work continues. In addition to the bonfires and the wind machines, a helicopter flew over the orchard all morning to try and bring that warmer air down to save the crops. The noise and the smoke set a scene similar to a war zone along these rows of fruit trees, but it's necessary because a couple hours of temperatures below 30 degrees on these crops could be devastating. The owner says it got down to 28.
Keep going, the sun's not in there yet.
That's all it takes to ruin so much work throughout the year. On a morning like this, I think it's very emotional and raw because my dad and my family put so much work into this, and you don't want to see it go down the drain just from one single day.
By 7 a.m., what's done is done, and the Hellers hope for the best.
It's too early to tell. We won't know. It might be days till we could see if there's any scarring or frost rings or anything like that on this fruit.
The effort here didn't just work to save the crop, but its quality too.
But I'm optimistic. I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
Yep, we kept the frost off of these trees.
He'll know for sure in about 3 days' time. Chelsea Strube, Newswatch 16, Luzerne County.
The freeze was too much for some farmers in Columbia County. Temperatures fell to 26 degrees that night at OHF Orchards near Bloomsburg. The orchard's 2 acres of peaches did not fare well. Farmers say they lost about 30 to 40% of the overall yield. Just a few weeks after the freeze, our area was blanketed in smoke. The dangerous air conditions and hazy skies straight ahead. It was the first week of June when massive wildfires thousands of miles away in eastern Canada brought a burning haze to the air in our area. A wall of smoke left much of Scranton in a dense fog. This is what it looked like looking down from the overlook on Route 307.
I just think it's absolutely insane. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. Scranton is just completely covered in this smoke, and it takes away from the beautiful scene here.
Not only could the smoke be seen for miles, but it was also dangerous for those with certain health conditions. For days, those people were urged to stay inside until the air quality returned to normal. But not everyone could stay indoors. One group that worked through the smoke and haze, farmers. Newswatch 16's Claire Alfrey shows us some of the obstacles the smoke created in Schuylkill County.
What typically is a picture-perfect view of the mountains in Ringtown is clouded with smoke, making it difficult for customers and workers at B&R Farms to harvest strawberries.
Today it was about 10 o'clock when all of a sudden we noticed that it was thick and it was getting hard to breathe.
Workers tell us they started to feel nauseous after working all morning.
Today is when it really got bad, and yeah, it's not terrible. I just got sort of a headache and a little bit of stomachache.
The smoke isn't just affecting the workers, but the strawberry crop B&R Farms has been preparing all year long.
Well, it's really windy and the smoke is covering the sun, so it makes it really cold.
Well, I'm concerned that it's going to hold it back a little bit, that, we're not getting the warmth and the ripening factor.
B&R Farms opened earlier this week to the public for the beginning of strawberry season. And while customers are still here picking strawberries in the field, they say because of the smoke, they can't stay outside for very long.
They're only here for about 15-20 minutes, so they're in and out, and they've got their faces set for fresh strawberries, so they'll come in and brave the weather and skin out of here before it gets too bad.
To combat the smoky conditions, Hetherington says she is giving everyone more breaks and letting workers take off early. But no matter what the air quality rating is, farmers in Schuylkill County will still have to work.
Well, we're self-employed, and the work goes on, whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's smoke from Canadian wildfires. We have to keep going.
Claire Alfrey, Newswatch 16, Schuylkill County.
The weather can become dangerous in just moments, and then all that is left is a path of destruction. Next, we'll show you just how quickly a summer storm escalated. 4th of July weekend brought with it devastation after 3 tornadoes touched down throughout northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Newswatch 16's Chelsea Strube has a look at the damage in Union County.
Destroyed fireworks stands and bent over flagpoles. Not what you want just before the 4th of July. And only a fraction of the damage in Union County after at least one tornado ripped through the Lewisburg area and beyond.
In the western end of the county were the first notification that they had seen something, whether it was a funnel cloud or the storm come through. We had several buildings. We had a chicken barn that the roof came off and kind of collapsed.
Here in Millmont, you can see that roof ripped right off and a silo missing part of its roof on the same farm. Cleanup is also underway in this neighborhood near Mifflinburg, where Roger Leitzel is dealing with some damage.
My skirting was going along underneath. It's all blowed in. And shingles on the shed was broke off. So that's about all I had.
Members of the National Weather Service from State College are in Union County to assess the damage. And although they haven't determined yet what type of tornado came through here, we do know it was strong enough to topple this tree in this West Buffalo Township backyard.
We go through to determine what caused that. So things like a tornado, straight line wind, downburst, and then assess from the damage that's assessed, go ahead and assign an estimated wind speed on that.
Whatever caused this damage in Jody Camp's yard, she says it was loud.
We were watching the Phillies game, taking a nap, and it sounded like thunder the first time, and it woke us up, and the second time it was louder, and we jumped up.
Chelsea Strube, Newswatch 16, Union County.
The National Weather Service says a weak twister also touched down in Dixon City. It only took minutes for 4 blocks of the borough to be transformed from a quiet neighborhood into a path of destruction. Neighbors say they saw tree branches and patio furniture flying through the air.
I was actually in the basement and I heard boom, and then I heard another boom, and then it just kept getting louder, and I hear weird noises, and then I ran upstairs to look out my window.
It is just a myth that mountains protect communities from tornadoes. If you have the necessary ingredients for a thunderstorm, you can also have a tornado. More of the biggest weather stories of the year coming up next. September is the heart of fair season, but strong storms in the Back Mountain put a halt to the 61st annual Luzerne County Fair. Flash flooding swept through the fairgrounds following heavy rain, forcing officials to take the animals elsewhere and shut down the festivities. According to early estimates, it will cost at least $500,000 to restore infrastructure at the fairgrounds near Dallas. In Lackawanna County, 2 people were killed after flash floodwaters tore through the Abingtons. Drivers were also left stranded in their cars, and a section of Route 11 was closed. Newswatch 16's Jack Holkin shows us the cleanup in Clark Summit.
Caved-in roads and full trees snapped in half was all that was left in South Abington Township following severe storms that ripped through Lackawanna County Saturday night. John Mahalik got an early start for what would be hours of scooping up mud and debris out of parking lots.
Just trying to get it cleaned up and get the businesses back opened up and do what we can.
For Gerald Old and Marianne Hill, their Sunday was spent looking for their car. The two, along with Hill's daughter, were some of the many people who became trapped on Route 6 as the water levels rose.
I've never seen that. I thought I was inside a river. I thought I was in the beach or something. It was 3 hours.
Horrendous, horrendous. I've never been in anything like that before, and I don't want to happen again.
Hill says after 2 failed rescue attempts by passing tow trucks, it was the fire department that finally got the 3 to safety.
We just sat there for the 3 hours, until it started to subside a little bit, and then the firemen finally got us out. Were able to get us out one at a time.
Almost an hour later, the two made their way to a parking lot along a now closed section of Route 11, where Hill's car was towed when the waters went down. Not knowing what damage was done, all Hill could do was put the key in the ignition.
Wow.
Holy sh! I told you.
You got the keys.
I told you. St. Anthony always comes true. St. Anthony comes true.
With her car back, Hill says it's a sign of things getting back to normal. Jack Holkin, Newswatch 16, Lackawanna County.
That same September storm left behind devastation in Scranton. The city declared an emergency in some neighborhoods due to the flooding. Newswatch 16's Courtney Harrison spoke to people in part of the city who lost everything.
From Skycam 16, you can get an idea of the damage along Leggett's Creek in Scranton after it broke its banks and flooded this area. From the ground, rocks, mud, and debris cover where the street should be. Dave Kozlansky lives on Leggett Street and says he didn't think much of it when it started to rain, but then it all happened so fast.
The road was being flooded. The neighbor was here. We were talking. It was just coming down like pieces of macadam, stuff you would never believe you'd see only on TV or a horror film.
Dave called his brother George, who runs his business out of a garage 2 doors down, when the waters started to rise. But by the time he got there, it was too late. George lost several cars and most of his equipment.
And 3 hours later, I was watching it float down the river. Like, honestly, and there's no exaggeration. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't believe that quickly that this could transpire.
We could watch it from the other side of the creek and do nothing about it because we couldn't get down here. And it's just devastating to see what happened after it was all over with.
The city recently finished a project to build up the banks of Leggett's Creek to protect this area from floodwaters. Now all that material is in neighbors' yards.
And it's a shame because it was literally less than a week since they finished, and then this is what happened. I really don't know what to say.
People who live here say they've lived through flooding before, but it's never been this bad.
I don't know what the future holds, but, I know, flood areas can do this to you, but I never saw something like this.
Neighbors tell us they expect the buildings to be condemned and they will have to find somewhere else to go. Courtney Harrison, Newswatch 16, Scranton.
As we wrap up 2023, only Mother Nature knows what's in store for next year. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.